Okay, we should be live. Aloha everyone, I'm Heleni Sonora Pale with KaLahuiHawaiiKomikeKalaiaina. And today is Thursday, February 11th, 2021. And tonight we're going to be talking about the legislature. There's a lot going on at the legislature, too much going on at the legislature. And tonight we're really lucky to have a special guest that's going to help us navigate the system in order for us to have our voices heard. And I want to introduce, first of all, our two sign language interpreters, Jenny Blake, mahalo Jenny, and Laura Safransky. They're always volunteering to come on and do sign interpretation so that our deaf community can engage as well with us. So in getting on to our guest, Sandy Ma. She's the Executive Director of Common Cause Hawaii. She came to the organization in 2019, is that right? Yeah, okay. So you have a broad range of nonprofit, corporate, and government experience. You previously was an ACLU attorney in North Carolina and Hawaii. You had a private practice for a number of years. Most recently, you worked with the Hawaii Office of Planning in the Coastal Zone Management Program, focusing on climate change, sea level rise, coastal hazard issues. You have a BA from Johns Hopkins University and a JD from the University of Maryland School of Law, and a LLM in environmental law from Vermont Law School. Right on. That's a great background. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you on Lahui Updates tonight. Okay, so Sandy, so you are going to show us a little bit about the system. So kind of give you a little bit of background right now with the COVID pandemic happening. There have been changes with the system. The legislature is shut down. We are not allowed to go into the Capitol building in terms of physically, but yeah, so let me take that back. The legislature is not shut down. The Capitol building is closed to the public. That's what it is. Okay. Great. So, Sandy, you can just take it away. And then if you don't mind, I'm just going to give my 2 cents here and there because I've been trying to navigate the system as well in this new legislative session, 2021, which began January 20th. So we're not even a month into the legislative session for 2021. Okay. Mahalo, Sandy.
Oh, thank you for having Common Cause Hawaii. We are so excited to be here. We are a nonpartisan nonprofit organization, and our mission is to have everyone be able to participate and engage in the state legislature and county government. And so we are really happy to share how to do this. So I'm going to share my screen. Thank you, Heilani, for inviting us. And please welcome, feel free to interject at any time. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. So this is the Hawaii State Legislature website. It is actually a really excellent website, and it has won numerous awards nationally. So this is the capital.hawaii.gov website URL. So please, this is how you are going to interact with our state legislature from now on. For this 2021 session. This is how you are going to find out what bills are being heard, when they're being heard, and how to submit testimony, even testify remotely. This is the first year that all of our sessions are streamed online, and you can testify remotely from the safety of your own home. So you have to create an account. So you have to register here. So click the register button, you put in your name, you have to put in an email address, verify your email address and create a password. Click on the I understand, check the box and create a user. So you could create one for yourself. I have a personal one just for me, and then I have a work one for my work account. So I could submit testimony that I find personally useful, that I want to testify, that I find on bills that of interest to me personally. Then I also have a work one that I testify on issues for Common Cause Hawaii. So those are two different things.
So step one is registration. That is a must in order to submit testimony.
That's correct. So you have to register. And so I've already registered, so I'm not going to re-register. So you can register for however many different organizations, but please keep track of your password. So I have a password for my personal account. I have a password for my work account. So if you have different organizations, like I'm also a member of other coalition groups, and I can submit testimony for different coalition groups, and I have passwords for different coalition groups and email. So that's very important to know. So you just don't have to create one account, you could have multiple accounts. So I'm going to sign in. I can sign in. This is my work one, so I'm going to sign in for my work. And when you sign in for work, you can see these are lighted up. These are orange. The testimony hearing, notification, and measure tracking are in orange. When I log out, you can see that it's not in orange. So when you sign in, they're orange. I'm going to stay signed in. So you find your bill. If you know your bill number, let's try HB 740. This is a bill of particular interest to Common Cause. You do not put a space. HB is House Bill. Senate bill is SB. Never put a space in between it, never. When the bill moves through the legislature, you will have SD, which is Senate Draft 1 or Senate Draft 2. Never put the Senate draft, just always the first SB, which is Senate bill, or HB, which is House bill. Never put anything else after it, and never have a space, and hit go. And that will give you your bill. Like I said, this bill has moved through, but you never need to put the HD after it. So let's go back to the first page. You could also do keyword search. If you know a keyword like Mauna Kea, lots of Mauna Kea bills, you don't have to put it in quotes. You could just put the word in. Lots of Mauna Kea bills. So that's how you do keyword searches. So that's very important. Let's see. If there's a particular bill number that you're interested in, what's also really important is you go to hearing notification, and you could subscribe to the measure so that you will get notified of the particular bill. You could put HB 740 and you hit add. And then that bill is going to come up and you will get notified every single time that bill comes up for hearing. So if that bill is heard, let's say in Judiciary or Hawaiian Affairs or Transportation or Health and Human Services, you will get notified every time that bill comes up for hearing. Common Cause is tracking about over 100 bills. So I decided not to list all those bills on here because that's just a lot of listing. I decided to subscribe by committee. So I just clicked all the committees. And so you don't have to do this, but you could also click all the committees that you want to follow. You could click Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs, Labor and Tourism, whichever committees you want. Make sure you click Save and Exit, because then that saves your bills that you are following, and it also saves the committees that you are following. So every time your committee gives you a notice, the bills that all the committees are hearing for that day will show up. So let's... So
I just want to say that as Kanaka Maoli, at least if you're going to track committees, track the Hawaiian Affairs Committee on the Senate side, and track the Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Committee on the House side. Because any measure that has to deal with Kanaka Maoli, like let's say DHHL, Hawaiian language, all of those measures will go through most times these committees. And so these are the committees we want to engage with more. Just a suggestion.
Excellent suggestion. So you can see that the House underwent a lot of reorganization this year. And so Judiciary got combined with Hawaiian Affairs. So it's now Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs. And the Senate is still Hawaiian Affairs. So it's
Yes.
Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs on the House side.
Yeah. And then I just want to point out there's only one Kanaka Maoli on the Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs on the House side, Representative Tokioka, which is very unfortunate. We don't really have Kanaka Maoli representation or Native Hawaiian representation on the Hawaiian Affairs Committee on the House side. Thank you, Sandy. Sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. So, so it's very important to know your bill number. You could also search by keyword if you're looking for particular bills. And the other thing that I really like to do is look at reports and lists. So when you look at reports and lists, you can look at all the House bills that were introduced, all the Senate bills that were introduced. And so if you do this, and let me go back again and make sure. It's in reports and lists on the front page. You go reports and lists, look at House bills, and there are lots. There's like over 1,000. So it takes a little while to load.
So how many bills total were introduced this year?
This year there were, I think, 2,500 total.
Wow.
So if you go here, these were all the bills that were introduced on the House side. So like I said, there's over 1,000. And so you could just, I cheat and I do Control F. Hawaiian Affairs is, already in my find, and I just do Hawaiian Affairs, or you could put Mauna Kea, whatever words you want to put in there, and just look, search for your words, search for your keywords.
That's a good tool to know. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just went back, and you could do Senate bills, same thing. Senate bills introduced. It's taking a little while to load, but I just want to show you some of these things that people use to go through to cull bills. Mauna Kea, there's only a few things.
Yeah, there's about five of them, I think. 5 Mauna Kea bills this year.
Okay, so SB 1299, Mauna Kea Development Prohibition. So
that's our bill.
That's your bill, okay. So you're probably going to track that bill, put alerts in there. And so let's see, the resolutions are coming up soon. What other thing? Measures by package is really important. Measures by package, and you could go here. These are like
very interesting.
OHA package, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So these are all the OHA bills. These are all the OHA bills you may want to take a look at if you haven't seen them. So these are the things that we find. We care a lot about elections issues, so we will follow Office of Elections bills. But I mean, there's OHA bills. I don't know if you care about county council bills, but Legislative Native Hawaiian Affairs Caucus is here.
Thank you for that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so hopefully when you have time to go back and look at this, it's under reports and lists, measures by package, measures by introducer. So like you said, Representative, you said Tokioka. Tokioka's bills. These are Tokioka's bills.
Wow.
So again,
I'm gonna do that later for Psyche.
So Psyche
usually
introduces bills for government agencies. And so you'll pull up a lot of government agency bills, and some are his own, but a lot are government agency bills. So it's reports and lists, and there you go. All the House bills, all the Senate bills, measures by introducers, measures by package. So hopefully that will help you find things that you're looking for. And then let's see. And then you could also then start tracking them, putting in alerts under hearings and notifications by the bill number, if you're interested. You could also see status over here, bill status. And so I think those are the big things. You could also watch watch the hearings live and on demand, here live on demand.
Interesting.
Slowly loading.
So one of the, I guess, oh, here we go. Yeah.
So they're all here on Senate and the House of Representatives YouTube channels. You can watch them and they're archived. And so I'm not going to click on them now because that'll take me to the YouTube channel and it may take a little time to load, but they're all here.
Yeah, and you can subscribe to them too. So if you're logged into YouTube, you can subscribe to those channels and then you get notifications of when they have a new video coming out.
You can put up a little alert. And sorry, I wanted to show you in this little box, this broadcast feeds. Here's the broadcast feeds, and you can have them for the different committees too. So this is a really good website. Now, once you sign in and you see these orange boxes light up, it's really easy to use. You have to have these orange boxes light up in order to get the hearing notifications and to get in order to submit testimony. But you don't have to have these orange boxes be orange to use the report lists or anything like that. So that's pretty simple. And you can always use the bill status without having to create an account or anything like that.
Okay.
So let's see. I think, and like I said, you could create multiple accounts. You don't have to have one. You could create like an account for your organization, Hey Alani. You could create an account for a different organization. You create a personal account. Testifying individually versus a group. Now, that's a little bit tricky because it used to be you could just go in person to the Capitol and submit like 10 written testimonies at once. Now they're requesting that you submit individual testimonies because it is your personal account that you're opening or an account that you have opened under your name for your organization. And so what I have heard from the legislature is that you can submit a bulk testimony for you and a bunch of other people for a particular bill, but you have to collate it into like one PDF or one Word document. But you also have to let the committee clerk know that you are submitting multiple testimonies under your name for your organization so that the clerk will know that it's coming in. I hope that made sense. It was kind of long.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about some of the issues this year with access and testimonies. But can you just show us real fast how to submit testimony? I think that's kind of the big thing.
Okay, so you're logged in, you have created an account, your orange boxes here, or circles are lit up. So you click testimony. So that's how you submit testimony. You click that. So this is the testimony that I'm going to be, this is what it looks like. So these are the testimonies that I have previously submitted. This check sign means that this is a testimony in support. This little pencil tablet sign means just comment. This thumb pointing down means opposition. So when it says view Zoom requested, that means I've requested to testify by Zoom. When it just says view, that means I have not requested to testify by Zoom. I've just submitted written testimony only. When it says join here, that means the Zoom room is open for me to join to give testimony by Zoom. So when I've requested to testify by Zoom and the Zoom room for the committee hearing is open for me to join, it will turn into a join box like this. Okay. I don't know why this is still open, but it is. This was a really, this JHA is Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs hearing. This had to do, this was a really long hearing today. This had to do with the mask mandate. There were a lot of people testifying. It may be that this committee hearing is still open for testimony. A lot of people were testifying about the mask mandate, so it may be still going on. I don't know. So I'm going, when tomorrow, like half an hour before 10 a.m., I will check to see if the Zoom request turns into a join box. And then I will log in and then I will go pitter around, do things. So I'm going to submit testimony on SB, where is it? I think it's SB 283. No, sorry. $238.
I always do that to switch the numbers.
Yeah, so I'm going to submit testimony on SB 283. And again, this bill is moving through SB 283, and I don't have to worry about capitalization. I don't have to capitalize S or B. This bill has a Senate Draft 1. It has a SD 1. I don't have to put the SDs. I just do SB 238. I'm going to hit continue. I'm just doing comments on this. I'm testifying on behalf of an organization, so it's not individual. So I'm testifying on behalf of Common Cause Hawaii. I'm not going to testify by Zoom on this. I'm just going to do written. I'm going to choose my file. Let's see. I clicked my file. I'm going to hit submit, and then it's going to ask to make sure that I know that once I hit OK, I can't change my testimony. I can't go back. So I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to hit submit. And that's it. And here it is. SB 238 SD1, even though I didn't type in SD1, and it's just a view. And that's it. That's all I do.
So when you submit, you don't have to attach a document. You can just say support, oppose. You can just click that, right?
Yeah.
Or you could just, or you could just, if you oppose and you just want to say a couple of sentences or even a whole thing, a whole paragraph, you can just write it in right there in the comments. You don't have to attach a document to that.
Correct. So here is, I just typed in a number.
Okay.
So here is a different bill, and I just typed in a number. I'm not going to testify on this at all. You could just hit whatever it is, whatever box you're testifying, individual or on behalf of an organization. If you're going to click your testifying by Zoom or written testimony, and then here's the box that Heilani was talking about. You could just say, I like this bill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this bill.
Right.
And that's it.
Great.
You don't have to attach a document.
And you don't even have to write comments. You could just write, you could just click oppose or support. And so I want to thank you so much for showing us that process and helping us to navigate that. Couple tips on writing testimonies. Be professional and be clear. So if you're writing testimony, please don't use language that is inappropriate. It doesn't help the cause to attack the legislators on a personal level. So we always be professional, always be clear about what your position is, and just try to even tell a story if you want, you know, kind of thing. And if anybody wants a testimony writing workshop, you know, contact me. We do that as well. We actually help you to draft the testimony if you need help with that. Okay, so thank you, Sandy, for that. And I want to just kind of point out a few things. So some of the big changes this year because of the COVID pandemic and because the Capitol is closed to the public is that they're only accepting testimony via the portal website, which is problematic, of course, because previously we could actually drop off, like you were saying, handwritten testimony. We could email it. They had an email whole process to email it. You could even fax it in. Now it's just one way, which is the website portal, and that's the only way you can submit testimony. And that for me has been problematic because I do work with a lot of kupuna, and they have difficulty with navigating this whole system, right? I mean, you know, even some of them don't even have emails, let alone internet access. So it's been there's some pluses and real negatives to this whole new system. And you know, hopefully, I have been in touch with the ACLU, and they're in the process of writing a letter to help, you know, give suggestions on how to address some of the concerns that not just myself, but others have brought up on the ways we can submit written testimony. Now, when a hearing is announced, they have 48 hours. So usually the law states that they need to announce that they're going to have a hearing on a bill. They need to give you at least 48 hours. Is it 48 hours, right?
So it's different. The Senate gives more time. The House is 48 hours. It's the rules.
Oh, okay. Well, how much time is the Senate?
The Senate is 72.
72.
Yeah, but the Senate has been giving a lot more time. So
yeah, I noticed that about a week and things like that. But still, and then you have, so you basically got 72 to 48 hours to submit your written testimony, and the only way you can sign up for oral testimony is via the web portal. You cannot give oral testimony unless you give your testimony 24 hours, your written testimony 24 hours in advance. Whereas previously we could go right up to the hearing with no written testimony and just give our mana'o or give our oral testimony right at the hearing in person. So there is some, and so that's a real setback for a lot of people who have been engaged at the legislature. And for kupuna who do not have access to internet, notices are sent out via email and are online. And whereas before you could actually, catch the bus to the Capitol and go and look on the bulletin boards and all the notices would be there. So again, another setback. You know, my experience with this new system has been both positive and negative. It really depends on the committee, who's running the committee, and how they run it. With the Judiciary Hawaiian Affairs Committee, I found them to be a little bit more lax, you know, in terms of allowing more time. With the Water and Land Committee on the Senate side, I've been cut off. There are even times where I haven't been let into the committee hearing. So all of these, there are issues with this, but the pluses are neighbor islands are able to participate in the Zoom oral testimony part from their island, and they don't need to actually fly over. So that, you know, that's a plus. You have any comments on that, Sandy?
You're absolutely right, Heilani. I think this is a big learning curve for everyone. Common Cause has been pushing for remote testimony for exactly the reasons you're saying. It does open up the process to neighbor island people, and does open up the process for people who are homebound and who can't come to the capital for whatever reason, childcare or elder care, or just, you know, they have to be at home. So, but this is such a steep learning curve for everyone. And I do agree with you that the 2-minute cutoff or 1-minute cutoff for testimony is challenging. And I do agree with you that the process seems a little bit lack of interaction with people, that you can't really have this kind of conversation with people. I also find it challenging in that our testimonies are not loaded onto the system, so we can't see what other people have testified. A lot of the testimonies are uploaded after the committee hearing, so I don't know what other people are saying, and it's hard to address comments until the committee is over, and so that's very difficult. So yes.
Yeah. So a couple tips when you do give oral testimony. A couple tips is, you know, keep a timer handy. So for those committee chairs that are very strict on the timing, like how long you can give testimony, bring a timer and show it on your screen so that you get fair time. Your Zoom profile has to match sometimes they're very strict on that. It has to match the name that you submitted your testimony under. So your Zoom profile has to match that exactly for some. Some committee hearings disable the chat. You're not able to chat or ask questions on the chat. Some don't. Again, it depends on the committee. Because we have an abbreviated legislative session, we're ending in April and not in May. Again, this, you know, having our voices heard in a timely manner is like on top, like, because if you think about it, the ledge session is like such a rush session. You only have from January 20th and now to the end of April to look through what 2,000 bills and to get through all these hearings and the Senate and the House convening and voting on these bills. The process is long and there's so many parts to it, and you only have a certain amount of time. So you only got so that's 4 months. We have less than 4 months. I would say 3.5 months, more like that. But so that's a concern. Again, we have 1 week less to get through all of this and to stop bad bills and to push our good bills. Okay, and another positive I just want to say about this whole new system is that it's all on YouTube. So you can watch it and it's actually archived there. So that's a plus because you can go back and watch it at your leisure. For myself, it saves on transportation and parking. Finding parking, especially when there's a big hearing with lots of agenda items, was always hard at the ledge. because you would have to walk far and find parking pretty far away. So there's some pluses and some negatives, and you're right, there's some kinks that need to be worked out on this new system. And you know, the learning curve, we gotta all just kind of help each other get the system, get used to this new system. We don't know how long this is gonna last. Any other comments on this process before we get to the next topic?
What I've heard from a lot of other advocates in the community is it is really key now to not just rely on the committee hearings to make your voices heard. You have to call your legislators. To call your legislators, not just during committee hearings, but outside the committee hearings, to make your voices heard that way. Your elected representatives, if they're sitting on the key committees, let them know you don't like a bill or you like a bill, or if your bill hasn't been scheduled for hearing, you want those bills scheduled for hearing. You know, give your legislators a call. Let your voices be heard that way. That is key.
And don't be afraid to email your legislator too. Your first point of contact would be your own representative or senator. And you didn't talk about the access room, but the public access room at the ledge is your office there. Do you know the number for the access room, Sandy? So the access room is supposed to be nonpartisan place where you can get help with drafting testimony, understanding the process, even letting them know what's going on. You know, if there's been a problem with your submitting your testimony, or if there's been a problem with giving oral testimony, you can go to them and they can give you some tips or help you out.
It's 587-0478.
So it's 587-0478, the access room. Call them if you have any issues. Okay, so going on to the next. Oh, and so other places, one last thing, other places they can go to if they have trouble with submitting testimony or giving oral testimony, other than that public access room.
So if you don't mind me sharing the screen one more time.
Oh, go ahead, please do.
Thank you. Let's see. Sorry. So if can everyone see the Capitol website?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you look on the Capitol website, the links, here's the public access room.
Okay.
So for, oh, sorry. The Engagement 101, finding, sorry, just found it earlier, current legislature. So what's really important for the current legislature is the office managers. The office managers are key if you're having trouble with a clerk, with a committee, and you are having trouble with accessing a Zoom room or submitting testimony. So it is the chair of the committee, and you're having trouble with a Zoom room or submitting testimony, or if you have late testimony and you want to be sure that your late testimony is going to be in the record. So you go to the chair of the committee and you find the office manager and you call that number to make sure that that you could get in, or that your testimony is going to be received and marked late, or just received So these are the committee, these are the office managers. So that's very important.
It's good to know.
So these are the office managers, and you also have committee clerks. They're also important. So you contact both the committee clerks and the office managers. The committee clerks list is not always as up to date as you would like, but it doesn't hurt to contact both.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Sandy. I appreciate it. So, you know, hopefully that helps people, everyone watching. We're gonna have this, you can watch this later if you need to review. Hopefully that'll help you with navigating this new system. We are living in different times these days. Okay, up to the next topic, Mauna Kea bills. So as I had stated earlier, there's about 5 Mauna Kea bills in the legislature right now that have been introduced. I want to talk about the first pair of bills, House Bill 703 and Senate Bill 1299. They're both, they're companion bills that are on both the House and the Senate. They have not had a hearing yet, and both bills are exactly the same. They're requesting no further development for Mauna Kea based on the fact that Mauna Kea is sacred, or there are organisms that are endangered and threatened, species that are endangered and threatened, and organisms found nowhere else on the planet that reside on Mauna Kea. And Mauna Kea sits on 5 aquifers that provide water to Hawaii Island. So it doesn't have a budget. There's no money to be allocated. It just says no further development on Mauna Kea except for decommissioning or for traditional and customary uses by Kanaka Maoli. Okay, so I wanted to kind of share a little bit about these bills. The House measure was introduced by Representative Peruso and Representative Capella. Peruso is from Wahiwa, Capella is from Kona. Capella's new, this is her first session. She's a new representative. And I believe this measure is dead for the year because it did have 3 referrals and we did not have a hearing yet. However, we are in a biennium, so it would still be technically alive next year and we would still have an opportunity to request a hearing. But I want to mahalo and thank the 500 plus people who submitted emails to Representative Tarnis and Senators Inouye and Senators Shimabukuro asking for a hearing for these measures that would protect our sacred Mauna Kea. Okay. The Senate measure was introduced by Senator Ocasio, again, another new senator who was actually appointed by Governor Ige, which is very surprising. She's from Hawaii Island. She replaced Kai Kahele. And so then you have Senator Favela, who also signed on to this bill, and Senator San Buenaventura. I just want to say their names because for the fact that they signed on to these bills says a lot about their character and who they are. And we want to mahalo them as well for their support of protecting Mauna Kea. We want to mahalo them. Okay. This is the 3rd year. Just want to also point that out that we have introduced these bills. This is the 3rd year that it's been in session. Let's see, and unfortunately, what happened this year with the legislature, now anything dealing with the Board of Land and Natural Resources, Mauna Kea, Land and Water, goes to the Senate Water and Land Committee on the Senate side and goes to the Water and Land Committee on the House side. Unfortunately, both committee chairs, Senator Inouye in the Senate and Representative Tarnis on the House side, are both very pro-TMT supporters. So I believe it was done purposely. So our chances of getting it heard this year are very low, but this was an opportunity and a way of us being proactive instead of reactive this year in terms of Mauna Kea and protecting our sacred Mauna. Okay, another interesting Mauna Kea bill this year, House Bill 693. And this bill establishes a personhood for Mauna Kea. And they kind of go and follow what the Maoris did with their mountain, their sacred mountain, Taranaki. They made Taranaki a person. They recognized that mountain as a person and gave that mountain protections. And this bill I can't say I can't support it, but it hasn't had a hearing. It's probably dead already. It had 3 referrals. But it was introduced by Capella. And I thought it was interesting. An interesting approach to providing protections, additional protections to Mauna Kea. Okay, and the other bill I want to talk about is House Bill 544. So this bill is actually Representative Holt's bill, and it was a bill that the Hawaiian caucus put out. It's part of their package. This is a bill that is asking for the decommissioning of the Hokukea telescopes. And I totally support pulling back any kind of development on Mauna Kea. But the problem I have with this bill is this. If you look at the notes on the last committee hearing, the university says it's going to cost $1.3 million to decommission Hokukea telescope. Over the past couple years, the state has spent $30 million on law enforcement against peaceful protectors in order to build the TMT. Now, Hokukea telescope, which had a lease for $1 a year, $1 a year, that's how much they paid for their lease to utilize our AINA for their telescope. Now they're asking taxpayers to pay $1.3 million to decommission their telescope. That's the problem with astronomy in Hawaii. They're bankrupting the state. Okay. The intent is good on this bill. It's very good. But I don't see why taxpayers would have to flip the bill for it. I don't see why we would have to pay $1.3 million to decommission when they were paying, and we don't even know if they paid the $1 a year. From what I hear, nobody expects to be paid the $1 a year. Okay. Okay, so I want to say this about Mauna Kea. So kind of like what Sandy was saying, right? If you want to look up bills about a particular topic, you just kind of type it in. So if you want to look up Mauna Kea bills, you'll type in Mauna Kea bills. Now, there are instances where the bill is about Mauna Kea, but it doesn't state so. It does not specifically say, hey, we're passing this bill so that we can expedite the renewing of the lease, the master lease for Mauna Kea summits. They're not going to say that in the bill. So and that brings me to House Bill 344. House Bill 344 would have eliminated contested cases. And when you look at it and face value, it's unconstitutional right off the bat, right? But when you look at the testimonies for this bill, it was supported by the Mauna Kea telescope directors of the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope, the Maxwell telescope, the NASA infrared telescope, the Subaru telescope, and Keck Observatory. And what they cited, and they were supporting of this bill, they were supporting the bill. What they cited was that the contested case process protracts the renewal process for the master lease for Mauna Kea. And because the master lease is up in 2033, they're concerned that if there is a contested case filed, when they go up to renew the lease, that it will prolong the whole process of renewing the master lease on Mauna Kea. So, and if any of you don't know, so anytime like the government takes action or makes a decision, you can, like the administrative bodies like the Board of Land and Natural Resources, the Land Commission, any of those, you can actually file a contested case if you, and it's a quasi judicial process that holds standing, and and what has happened in the past is that with contested cases, landmark Supreme Court cases have actually started as contested cases, especially for Kanaka Maoli rights to lands and water. Like the Pash decision started as a contested case. Kapa'akai started as a contested case. So contested cases are really important. If we do not have contested cases, we would have to go straight to litigation, straight to the courts. That takes money, that takes resources, that takes time. And that would disempower the regular person. Many of us are just kind of struggling to get by as it is. This measure was introduced by Representative Psyche, who is the House Speaker. Now, if any of you don't understand how the ledge works, the House Speaker runs the House. The President of the Senate runs the Senate. What is kind of unsaid, but we all kind of know this, is that nothing gets by the House without the House Senate Speaker supporting it. He's the one that refers the bills. He is kind of like the big decision maker, right? So Psyche is the House Speaker, and he introduced this bill after coming out with an announcement that he was concerned about the mismanagement of Mauna Kea by the University of Hawaii. So he put out this bill at the same time saying he's concerned about the Mauna, okay? The bill died, thankfully, and I wanna just mahalo all of the groups that came out. There were some heavy hitters that came out against this, and to all the people out there who gave testimony in opposition to House Bill 344, I wanna say mahalo to you for doing that. So here's a great example of a bill that was specifically targeting Mauna Kea and the process to renew the lease, but did not say Mauna Kea. So that's why we need as many of our Kanaka Maoli, our supporters, our allies, all engaged this session. As much as we can, we need as much help as possible to monitor what is going through the legislature. Okay, and it's obvious when you look at some of these measures that the legislature has not given up hope of having TMT built on Mauna Kea. Legislative leadership has not given up hope on Mauna Kea. Okay, so do you have any comments, Sandy? About anything I talked about or about the process?
No, thank you, Heilani, for having us here and for getting everyone involved in the legislative process. We just need more voices, so that people know how to speak out and talk about what's important to them. That's all that matters.
Thank you, Sandy. Thanks for being on this show. And so I just wanted to kind of just mahalo everybody that's been out there and been engaging at the ledge. And when back in, I don't know, about 6 years ago, when I kind of restarted doing this, going back to the legislature, there was barely any Kanaka Maoli going to the ledge. There was no voice for the native people of this Aina. And so, it makes me happy to see all our people kind of like more engaged and more involved and watching everything and having opinions about things and having discourse and discussion. So it's really, it's a good thing, you know, and this is a way that we can engage and have our voices heard in a peaceful manner. And I want to just say this also, and I always say this, going to the legislature is not the end all for any kind of strategy. So when we're talking about Mauna Kea, going to the legislature is just one part of a bigger strategy, right? So we go there to monitor. Every year, they always say, oh, we don't want to talk about Mauna Kea. Every year, we don't want to talk about Mauna Kea. Every year, they pass bills that would affect our rights as peaceful protectors to go up there and to protect our sacred sites, and would infringe on those rights. Every single year, there are bad bills that do that. And so that's why we have to be there. That's why we have to monitor. And I want to mahalo you, Sandy Ma, for all of your work, because your work also impacts Kanaka Maoli as well. And, you know, it's valuable. We need to just continue to engage politically, and, you know, and we only have to the end of April. So I just wanted to do this workshop so that everyone has kind of a baseline on how to engage on that portal and kind of what's going on with Mauna Kea at the legislature. So mahalo, everyone. Have a great evening, a great weekend. And I want to mahalo our language and deaf interpreters, Jenny Blake and Laura Safransky. Mahalo, everyone. Have a great evening. Aloha.
Aloha.